Well, tonight, the State Department confirms that a U.S. citizen was killed when a monster wave hit a cruise ship off Argentina.
The open sea can be a terrifying place, especially when it comes to the formation of gigantic rogue waves that give sailors nightmares just at the thought of encountering them.
Oh my God!
But what makes these waves even more terrifying? It's not just their size, it's the fact that they appear suddenly out of nowhere, catching even the most experienced sailors off guard.
It's a situation where you typically have a crossing sea, in other words, waves coming from a couple of different directions, and these are nearly impossible to predict.
These monstrous waves can reach heights of several stories, making them the most dangerous aspect of the ocean. Join us as we check out 15 rogue waves you wouldn't believe if not filmed. Number 15, Japanese tsunami. In March of 2011, Japan experienced a catastrophic event that shook the entire nation to its core. This wasn't just any earthquake, it was the largest and most destructive quake to ever hit Japan, and the third largest in the world since 1900. But what exactly caused this monstrous wave of destruction? Well, it all started with an undersea earthquake in the Pacific Ocean, just 72 kilometers east of the Oshika Peninsula in Japan's Tohoku region. Records show that this earthquake measured between 9 and 9.1 on the Richter scale. That's off the charts. And to make matters even worse, it lasted for 10 minutes, triggering a tsunami that rose as high as 10 meters. That's like a skyscraper made of water coming at you. The aftermath was truly surreal. The tsunami swept away everything in its path. Boats, fences, and even entire houses were no match for the relentless force of nature.
A catastrophic tsunami rising out of the Pacific, its huge waves sweeping away everything in its path. A massive wall of water that rose as high as 30 feet, swallowing up parts of Japan.
Entire towns vanished, swallowed up by the monstrous waves. It was a sight to behold, but not in a good way. One particularly jaw-dropping moment was caught on film in Kamaishi City, where the tsunami surged over an 18-foot seawall. From above, it might not look like much, but the sheer power of that tsunami was intense. It was like watching a real-life David versus Goliath battle, only with water instead of a slingshot. The consequences of this catastrophe were nothing short of staggering. About 23,000 people lost their lives, and the damage was estimated to be between $200 and $300 billion, whereas 2,500 people were listed as missing and 20,000 passed away. And if that wasn't enough, the earthquake also triggered a major nuclear accident at a power station along the coast. 3 nuclear cores melted down within the first 3 days. It was indeed the case of nature's fury, followed by a nuclear nightmare. All in all, it was a disastrous event that left a lasting impact on Japan and the world at large. Let's hope we don't see another one of these anytime soon. Number 14, Bornholm dolphin waves. We all know that oil and gas are the lifeblood of our modern society, but did you know that a significant amount of oil is actually refined on offshore platforms known as oil rigs? These massive structures are tethered to the ocean floor, floating on the water with their extensive legs reaching deep beneath the sea. But even with their sturdy design, these rigs are still put to the test by some seriously impressive waves. In January of 2015, the Bornholm Dolphin Oil Rig, located in the treacherous waters of the North Sea, faced a true test of its stability when massive waves pummeled it following a storm. Despite sitting at a towering 60 feet above sea level, the spray from the waves was so intense that it reached the rig's deck. Talk about a wild ride. The footage captured during this incredible event shows just how much the rig was swaying and struggling to stay upright in the face of these monstrous waves. It's a real eye-opener to the challenges faced by offshore workers in such extreme conditions. And let's be honest, we wouldn't believe it if we hadn't seen it with our own eyes. The next rogue wave on our list is sure to send shivers down your spine. Number 13, the Draupner Wave. January 1st, 1995 was a day when the world was recovering from New Year's celebrations, but something extraordinary was happening in the Norwegian North Sea. The crew of the Draupner oil installation found themselves battling the fierce and tumultuous waters of the North Sea, known for its shallow depth and violent nature. To survive this nightmare, the Draupner platform was designed with a downward pointing laser to keep an eye on the surrounding sea state. Little did the crew know that this high-tech gadget would soon make a mind-blowing discovery. On that fateful day, the platform's laser measured a massive 85-foot wave rising from the depths of the ocean. It not only shattered all scientific estimates of wave height, but it was also more than twice the size of the other waves in the vicinity, which only reached 38 feet. This monumental wave, now famously known as the Draupner wave or New Year's wave, marked the first time a rogue wave had been detected and measured by a scientific instrument. The significance of this discovery cannot be overstated. It provided irrefutable evidence of the existence of rogue waves, a phenomenon that had long been shrouded in mystery and skepticism. The Draupner wave's size and the fact that it was captured on film made it a turning point in the study of rogue waves. It shattered previous assumptions and conclusively proved that these gigantic waves were not merely regular myths or sailors' tall tales. The event was a game changer for oceanography and maritime engineering.
You look at the sea state in one moment, everything just looks random, boring waves that we've known about for a long time,
forcing a re-evaluation of existing safety measures and design standards for structures at sea. Fortunately, despite its massive size, it didn't cause any major damage or take any lives, and to this day, it holds the record for being the tallest measured rogue wave of all time. Number 12, the vanished beach. Imagine waking up to find that the sandy beach you were planning to visit has vanished into thin air, leaving behind a landscape of pebbles and rocks. Not exactly the ideal spot for a relaxing day in the sun, unless you enjoy discomfort. This bizarre phenomenon actually happened on Achill Island, off the west coast of Ireland, where the beach of Doe, a 650-foot stretch of sand, mysteriously disappeared overnight after a fierce winter storm in 1984. It's a classic case of, now you see it, now you don't, as the very ocean that creates our beloved beaches can also be their undoing. The relentless force of crashing tides can smash sand particles and even crack solid rock. A single powerful wave has the ability to sweep away loose sediment and erode bedrock in a process known as coastal erosion. During a storm, these erosion processes go into overdrive, with storm winds whipping up supercharged waves that can scatter beaches and carry off tons of sand. In the case of the vanishing beach of Doe, it was the harsh winter storms of 1984 that stirred up the ocean so fiercely that it literally swept the shoreline clean, leaving nothing but bare rocks behind. But just when you thought things couldn't get any stranger, 34 years later, the beach made a dramatic reappearance. A freak tide around Easter in 2017 deposited hundreds of tons of sand back onto the shore, restoring the beach to its former glory. As word spread of the miraculous resurrection of the beach, tourists flocked to the area to see for themselves. The sudden surge in visitors led to the creation of 79 new jobs on the island as the local economy boomed with a 70% increase in tourism. It seemed like Achill Island had hit the jackpot. But as they say, history has a way of repeating itself. Just when things were looking up for Doug Beach, disaster struck once again in 2019. The beach was washed away yet again, leaving tourists and locals alike in shock. So, before you pack your bags and head off on your next beach vacation, it might be wise to double check that the beach you're dreaming of is still there. After all, as the saga of the vanishing beach of Doe has shown us, Mother Nature has a mischievous sense of humor and an itch for pulling off unexpected disappearing acts. Number 11. The Wahoo nuclear test. In 1958, after the chaos of World War II, the United States military was feeling particularly adventurous and decided to flex its atomic muscles and show off its preparedness in the face of new threats. So, they conducted several tests around the Marshall Islands, and then came the grand finale, the Wahoo test. This little experiment was all about the Mark 7 nuclear gravity bomb, with an explosive yield of 9 kilotons. That's about 2/3 the punch of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, in case you were wondering. The bomb went off at a depth of 500 feet, and it made a huge splash, literally. Within a second of detonation, it created a spray dome reaching a towering 840 feet. By the 22-second mark, the diameter of the dome had ballooned to 3,800 feet. Some might say the Wahoo test was a disaster waiting to happen, but at least it gave us some jaw-dropping footage, and we've learned a thing or two since then. Number 10, McNamara's 100-foot wave.
And at up to 100 feet, or more than 30 meters high, the largest and meanest waves in the world slam into a headland in Portugal called Nazaré.
Garrett McNamara, a legendary surfer known for pushing the boundaries of what's possible on a board, made headlines in January of 2013 when he rode a wave that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The wave, which he tackled off the coast of Nazar, was a staggering 100 feet tall, or at least that's what McNamara claims. The surfing world was sent into a frenzy of awe and disbelief.
The waves were not supposed to be that big this day because they're rogue waves.
With some questioning his sanity and others hailing him as a fearless pioneer. McNamara, never one to shy away from a challenge, had been preparing for this moment for years. "I knew it was going to be the biggest I've ever rode, and I knew what I was getting myself into," he said. And indeed, the footage of him conquering the monstrous wave is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Of course, with such a mind-blowing feat comes skepticism. While McNamara insists that the wave was indeed 100 feet tall, others have raised doubts. The Guinness Book of World Records has yet to verify the claim, leaving the surfing community in a state of suspense. Was it truly a 100-foot wave, or just a trick of perspective? Regardless, one thing is for certain, it was one heck of a wave. Surf records have a habit of being broken and rebroken, with riders constantly pushing the limits of what's possible. McNamara's 100-foot wave was just one in a long line of awe-inspiring stunts that have captivated the surfing world. The record may be disputed, but the impact of his daring ride is undeniable. Number 9. Mega Tsunami. Tsunamis are typically caused by massive underwater earthquakes as they displace large amounts of water. But did you know there's another type of tsunami that has nothing to do with earthquakes or any other geological events? People like to call it the mega tsunami. This beast of a wave occurs when a large amount of water displacement is caused by a sudden addition of material into a body of water, or a massive landslide, or the collapse of an iceberg. Now, let's take a trip back in time to an event that not only produced a mega tsunami, but also had an impact on the entire planet. 66 million years ago, an asteroid anywhere between 6.8 to 50.3 miles in diameter hit the Yucatan Peninsula, leaving behind what is known as the Chicxulub Impact Crater. This wasn't just any old asteroid strike, it was a massive one that produced a mega tsunami over 100 meters high, unlike anything that has been seen since. The wave was so tall and moved so fast that some scientists believe it washed as far inland as Chicago, Montana, or even Canada. But in this case, it wasn't the wave that did the most damage. An asteroid strike on this scale was enough to wipe out entire species of animals from the planet. Regardless, it was enough to cause a massive environmental change all across the planet, bringing about the Ice Age and likely the end of the dinosaurs. Whether it's a landslide or an asteroid strike, these mega tsunamis are a force to be reckoned with. And who knows, maybe one day we'll witness another mega tsunami that will go down in history, but let's hope we're not around to see it. Number 8. The Bay of Biscay. This notorious stretch of water is like the rebellious teenager of the ocean, constantly stirring up trouble with its violent storms and destructive waves, and don't be fooled by its calm appearance. Even on a seemingly peaceful day, this bay is not to be taken lightly. It's like that friend who always seems chill but has a wild side you never saw coming. There was a sturdy tanker called the Pink Coral that thought it could handle whatever the Bay of Biscay threw its way. Sailing to Rotterdam, minding its own business, when out of nowhere, a massive rogue wave decided to crash the party. This wave was so big it rocked the Pink Coral from side to side, and we're not talking about a little tugboat here. The Pink Coral is over 100 feet wide. To put it into perspective, that's like trying to rock a Boeing 737 from nose to tail. These rogue waves are like the bullies of the sea, whipping up trouble with their extreme height and unpredictability. They can be more than twice the size of the surrounding waves, towering over them like a skyscraper in a sea of bungalows. And just when you think you've got the ocean all figured out, these rogue waves come along and remind you who's really in charge. Number 7. Morandi Bridge. At the time when Italy was bustling with construction projects during post-World War II, there was an ambitious project, the Morandi Bridge in Genoa, a crucial part of a hydroelectric dam. But soon after, their negligence led to one of the most devastating inland tsunamis in history. Before the dam's construction, there were numerous warnings about the instability of the mountain, Monte Toc, looming above it. Locals reported continuous vibrations and landslides, but these red flags were shamelessly ignored by the operators. In a poor attempt at safety, they decided to lower the water level in the reservoir behind the dam, a decision that would prove to be catastrophic. Fast forward to October 9th, 1963, when a massive landslide sent rocks, trees, and earth hurtling into the reservoir below. The impact unleashed a massive wave of water that soared 250 meters above the dam before ruthlessly destroying every village in its path. The force of the tsunami was said to be more powerful than an atomic bomb, displacing the air with terrifying force. Witness accounts were scarce as the majority of those in its path perished, around 80% of them in a handful of villages along the valley floor. The devastation was unfathomable, with approximately 350 families wiped out without mercy. Subsequent investigations revealed that the lowering of the water level, combined with heavy rainfall, triggered the landslide. The sheer weight of the water and earth became too much for the mountain to bear, leading to one of the most tragic inland tsunami disasters in history. The tale of the Morandi Bridge serves as a sobering reminder of the dire consequences that can arise from neglecting warning signs and prioritizing convenience over safety. It's a cautionary tale that underscores the importance of heeding nature's warnings and respecting the delicate balance of our environment. Number 6. The Mount St. Helens eruption. 1980 was another year Mother Nature decided to show off her destructive prowess in a way that left the world in awe. Mount St. Helens, a seemingly peaceful volcano in the state of Washington, unleashed a series of events that would go down in geological history. The main event, of course, was the eruption itself. This wasn't just any old eruption, it was the Earth's largest terrestrial landslide in recorded history. The entire northern slope of the mountain collapsed, triggering an immense lava flow. The eruption also managed to pull off another stunt that left everyone scratching their heads in disbelief. When the side of the mountain came crashing down, it didn't just stop at wreaking havoc on its own turf. No, it decided to take a detour and plow right into Spirit Lake, which had been peaceful at the base of the volcano. The impact of the landslide on Spirit Lake produced a tsunami of epic proportions. We're talking about a wall of water that measured a staggering 860 feet, which is 260 meters above the lake level. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 2.5 statues of liberty on top of each other. It was huge. Not only did the tsunami cause utter chaos in Spirit Lake, it also had a side effect that no one saw coming. The lake itself decided to go through a growth spurt, nearly doubling in size from 1,300 acres to roughly 2,200 acres. This massive wave of water didn't just sit around, it traveled quite a distance, knocking down trees and any structures that had the misfortune of being in its path. But even with all that water power, it was no match for the fiery cloud of ash that came barreling out of the volcano. The result? A deadly mix of water and ash that created some of the most catastrophic mud flows known to man, clogging rivers and leaving behind a sludgy mess that took months to solidify. Fast forward to today, and Spirit Lake is back to its old self, more or less. It's currently sitting at a level of around 3,406 feet, but it took a good 2 decades for the lake to bounce back from the devastation. And let's be real, it's still being monitored and maintained to ensure it doesn't decide to go on any more growth spurts without permission. Number 5. Oceanside Wedding. Oceanside weddings may sound dreamy, but let's face it, the ocean has a mind of its own. Unlike traditional wedding venues where you can control almost everything, the ocean doesn't adhere to anyone's plans. You can't exactly send an invitation to the waves and expect them to not crash the party. Take this couple from California as a cautionary tale. They thought they had found the perfect backdrop for their wedding, with the ocean waves providing a picturesque setting. Little did they know that Mother Nature had other plans for their special day. As the couple exchanged their vows, the ocean decided to make a grand entrance of its own. The waves crashed uninvited, turning the serene scene into a chaotic mess. In a moment of panic, the groom sprang into action, grabbing a flotation device and bravely swimming towards his bride, determined to keep her safe from the unexpected intrusion. Luckily, a quick-thinking bystander staying at a nearby hotel captured the entire ordeal on camera. Not only did they document the dramatic turn of events, but they also alerted lifeguards about the couple's predicament. Thanks to their swift action, the newlyweds were rescued before things took a turn for the worse. Despite the adrenaline-pumping rescue, the couple emerged with only minor injuries, but the same cannot be said for their wedding day memories. While their story will undoubtedly be retold for years to come, it serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of oceanside weddings. So, if you're considering an oceanfront ceremony, perhaps it's worth pausing to reconsider. After all, while the allure of crashing waves and sandy shores may seem romantic, there's no denying that nature can be an uninvited guest at the most inconvenient times. Number 4. MV Viking Sky. There's no doubt that boat holidays come with its charm, the opportunity to tour unique ports of call, the unending buffets, and the briny sea air. For many, it's the stuff of dreams, but when Mother Nature decides to have an outburst, it may become a nightmare for some unlucky people. Take the MV Viking Sky for example. This poor ship found itself in quite the predicament off the coast of Norway in 2019. With 1,300 passengers and crew on board, it lost power and was at the mercy of some seriously nasty weather. We're talking waves that reached heights of almost 60 feet. And it's not just the MV Viking Sky that's had a run-in with unruly waves. There's some hair-raising footage out there supposedly showing the P&O Adonia, also known as the Sea Princess, getting tossed around like a ragdoll. The crew on the bridge reportedly ended up taking an unexpected trip to the floor due to a monstrous wave. Back in 2008, the cruise ship Pacific Sun found itself in a real-life horror movie scenario off the coast of New Zealand. The Pacific battles 50-knot winds and 25-foot waves off the coast of New Zealand. The ship tilted at such a precarious angle that furniture went flying across the rooms, and around 40 guests ended up with more than just sea legs. Number 3. Kyoyoung-sun. In March 2024, the Kyoyoung-sun, a South Korean-flagged chemical tanker, found itself in stormy weather off the coast of Yamaguchi Prefecture in western Japan. The vessel was no match for the ferocious stormy weather and ended up capsizing while at anchor. It was a tragic ordeal that resulted in the loss of 8 sailors, with 2 others still missing. The diverse crew of the Kyoyoung-sun, consisting of 2 Koreans, 8 Indonesians, and 1 Chinese citizen, faced a daunting challenge as they battled the elements. The tanker was carrying a whopping 980 tons of acrylic acid, a rather corrosive compound used in adhesives, paints, and polishes. One can only imagine the chaos that happened when nature decided to throw a curveball at this crew. Number 2. Warship smashed by monster wave. The brave crew of the NZ Royal Navy warship HMNZS Otago recently found themselves in a hair-raising encounter with a colossal wave of epic proportions near Antarctica. The monster wave was estimated to be over 20 meters tall, crashing onto the deck of the warship in a dramatic display of nature's raw power. Now, what were they doing in the middle of such marine chaos, you ask? Well, it turns out they were on a noble mission to thwart illegal fishing activities by 2 fish poachers in the Southern Ocean. A valiant cause, no doubt, but it seems they may have underestimated the sheer force of Mother Nature herself. As the wave loomed over the HMNZS Otago, one can only imagine the heart-pounding moment experienced by the crew. It's like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster, only this time it's real life and there's no stunt doubles. The risks and challenges of maritime operations in extreme conditions were laid bare as the warship battled against the unforgiving elements. Number 1. Regina Seaways. In the summer of 2019, the DFDS ferry Regina Seaways embarked on a daring journey from Klaipėda, Lithuania to Kiel, Germany. Little did the crew and passengers know they were about to experience a show of nature's raw power that would leave them with a tale to tell for years to come. As the ferry set sail across the Baltic Sea, it was met with a formidable adversary in the form of a massive thunderstorm. The strength and resilience of the vessel were put to the test as strong gusts of wind and lightning cracked across the sky. It was a struggle of wills between the wild forces of nature and man-made engineering. Imagine the heart-pounding moments experienced by the crew aboard the Regina Seaways as they braved the raging seas and the frightening lightning strikes that lit up the night sky. But the Regina Seaways was no ordinary ship. With its sturdy design and an experienced crew at the helm, it navigated through the storm and reached its destination. On the other hand, the electrifying experience of the elements dancing about the passengers probably had them clinging to rails for their dear lives. The Baltic Sea, known for its unpredictable temperament, certainly lived up to its reputation that day. It left a lasting memory for all those on board, serving as a reminder of the awe-inspiring might of nature and the sheer determination of mankind in the face of adversity. While rogue waves remain a mysterious and formidable force of nature, these videos provide valuable insights into the immense power of the ocean and the unpredictability of rogue waves. So the next time you find yourself on a boat or near the coast, remember these unbelievable rogue wave encounters and approach the water with a healthy dose of respect and caution. After all, nobody wants to become the star of the next unbelievable rogue wave video.